Chapter 1: The Land and People. And this will be our topics.
First topic is geography. The Philippines is an archipelago composed of 7,110 islands and islets. It belongs to the northern hemisphere as it lies a little above the equator. The Western Carvalho mountain ranges, which divide itself into Northern Cordillera and Central Cordillera, cross from north to south the province of Luzon, Abra, Benguet, Kalinga, Apayao, Ifugao, and Mount Province, located west of the Cagayan River. Based on my research, geography is the study of places and the relationship between people and their environments. Geographers explore both the physical properties of Earth's surface and the human society spread across it. Ang geografiya ay naglalayong maunawaan kung saan matatagpuan ang mga bagay, kung bakit sila naroon, at kung paano sila umuunlad at nagbabago sa paglipas ng panahon. The second topic is river and plains. Luzon has the Cagayan River, the country's longest, which drains the Cagayan Valley, Cagayan, Isabela, and Nueva Vizcaya. The Agno River, which drains Benguet, Nueva Ecija, Pangasinan, and Tarlac. The most important and the largest single plain area in the Philippines is the Central Plains of Luzon. The country's longest river is the Cagayan River, with a length of 505 kilometers, followed by Mindanao River and the Agusan River, with respective lengths of 373 kilometers and 349 kilometers. The largest plain of the nation is situated in the Central Luzon region and products most of the national rice supply, earning itself the nickname Rice Bowl of the Philippines. And third is coastline and marine resources areas. The Philippines has a coastline measuring approximately about 17,460 kilometers, twice as long as that of the United States. Philippines territorial waters are extensive about 6 times the land in surface area. I have been the general impression that our country, with its vast expanse of territorial waters and its expensive coastline, must be very rich in fish and fisheries resources. The Philippines archipelago is endowed with ecologically diverse and economically important coastal resources such as coral reefs, mangroves, estuarine areas, beaches, and variety of fisheries. Coastal resources provide much of what supports daily life: food, livelihood, economic development, clean water, and even the air we breathe.
Hi, my name is Cara Maimbong. I am going to discuss about the archipelagic principle of territoriality, volcanoes and earthquakes, climate, and natural resources. is archipelagic principle of territoriality. With the archipelagic doctrine, the Philippines archipelago shall be regarded as a single geographic, political, and economic unit, so that the waters around between and connecting the island from part of the national territory. Dahil sa archipelagic doctrine, ang Philippines ay itinuring na isang geographic, political, and economic, at lahat ng tubig na sa paligid nito na nagdudugtong sa lahat ng isla ay naging bahagi na ng national territory. And nanalo ang Philippines ng recognition of the archipelago concept in 1982, kung saan pinirmahan nito ng 117 na estadong dumalos sa Convention ng United Nations on the Law of Sea, UNCLOS, na isang kasunduan. UNCLOS also recognized the exclusive economic zone rights of archipelagic countries. Presidential Decree No. 1599, June 1978, na itatag ang economic zone ng Pilipinas sa layong 200 nautical miles lampas at mula sa territorial baselines, pero nasa ilalim pa rin ito ng kasunduan sa mga katabi nating bansa whose zones overlaps with us. There are 13 regions that Philippines have. These places is Region 1's part, Ilocos Norte, Ilocos Sur, La Union, and Pangasinan. In Region 2, Batanes, Cagayan, Isabela, Nueva Vizcaya, and Quirino. In Region 3, Bataan, Bulacan, Nueva Ecija, Pampanga, Tarlac, and Zambales, and Aurora. In Region 4, Batangas, Cavite, Laguna, Quezon, Marinduque, Occidental Mindoro, Palawan, Rizal, and Romblon. In Region 5, Albay, Camarines Norte, Camarines Sur, Catanduanes, Masbate, and Sorsogon. In Region 7, Aklan, Antique, Capiz, Guimaras, Iloilo, Negros Occidental. And Region 7, Bohol, Cebu, Negros Oriental, and Siquijor. And Region 8, Leyte, Eastern Samar, Northern Samar, Western Samar, Southern Samar, and Biliran. And Region 9, Basilan, Zamboanga del Norte, Zamboanga del Sur. And Region 10, Agusan del Norte, Agusan del Sur, Bukidnon, Camiguin, Misamis Oriental, Misamis Occidental, and Surigao del Norte. In Region 11, Davao del Norte, Davao Oriental, Davao del Sur, South Cotabato, and Surigao del Sur. In Region 12, Lanao del Norte, North Cotabato, and Sultan Kudarat. And this places is part of ARMM, or Ortomos region of Muslim Mindanao, Lanao del Sur, Maguindanao, Suloy, and Tawi-Tawi. And we have a CAR that stands for Cordillera Ortomos region, Ifugao, Kalinga, Apayao, Abra, Benguet, and Mountain Province. And we have a NCR that stands for National Capital Region, Manila, Caloocan, Quezon City, Pasay City, Makati, Malabon, Mandaluyong City, Marikina, Muntinlupa City, Navotas, Parañaque City, Pasig City, Pateros, Las Piñas City, San Juan, Taguig, and Valenzuela. And there are now 79 provinces and 115 cities and 1,497 towns. The second is volcanoes and earthquakes. The Philippines is within what is called Fairy Circle, or the seismic belt. That is, it lies in the path of earthquake and volcano eruption. And the Philippines has 50 volcanoes, and the 10 of them is active now. And the Mayon volcano, Taal, Banahaw, Bulusan, Apo, Hibok-Hibok, at Tiraya ay ang mga kilalang volcano sa Philippines. And in June 1991, the Mount Pinatubo sa Zambales ay sumabog at nagdulot ito ng napakalaking damage. And kinonsidered ito as a world worst volcanic eruption in 20th century dahil 900 ang mga namatay at 42,000 na bahay ang nasira. These are over 100 seismic fault running along the century. At ang main Philippines fault ay nasa northwest to southeast from Lingayen Gulf across north-central Luzon. It also crosses the Bicol provinces, continue through the eastern part of Masbate, then to central Leyte before continuing southward through eastern Mindanao. Third one is climate. The Philippines has a humid tropical climate. And here in the Philippines, we have two distinct seasons. The first one is the dry season, which extends from March to June. And the second one is the wet season, which lasts from July to October. And November to February is the Filipino springtime. It is generally cold. And May is usually the hottest month of the year, while January is the coldest. Generally, typhoons become part of the Filipino way of life. They influence weather and climate of the country. And dadating in 1964, Miding in 1980, Titang in 1970, Ruping in 1990, Ilyang in 1998, Luleng in 1998, and Winnie in 2004 are the most destructive typhoons. At sa nakalipas na 10 taon, 4,274 people have been killed and 7,602 injured, and about 3 million left homeless by typhoon. These storms have caused about 70 million in damage the property and crops. Eastern Visayas, Bicol, and the Cagayan Valley, particularly the Batanes group of islands, which lie directly in the path of storm, are among the poorest region in the Philippines. And the last one is natural resources. The Philippines is endowed by nature with fertile and arable soil and rich and abundant natural resources. The main agricultural crops are rice, coconut, corn, abaca, sugar, and tobacco. Arable lands extend up to 15 million hectares, but only the third is cultivated. Other farms product include bananas, pineapples, mangoes, beans, and sweet potatoes. Mining products that found in the Philippines are copper, gold, silver, zinc, chromium, manganese, and lead. And also the non-metallic minerals that found in the Philippines like gravel, salt, clay, coal, sulfur, asbestos, limestone, and marble. The recent oil and natural gas Malampaya Deep Sea Project discovers in offshore Palawan will surely improve our economy as additional sources for our energy needs in the year to come. In Asia, the Philippines ranked third in forest reserves and has 3,800 species of trees. There are 2,800 species of fish in the Philippines. The 50-feet whale shark is found in the Philippines. And the Pandaka pygmea, 9.66 mm, is the smallest fish in the world. And there are also 10,000 species of shell in the Philippines. The glory of the sea is the world's most expensive shell. And the 6,000 pounds Tridacna gigas, the world's largest shell, are also found in the Philippines. Yun lang po. And thank you.
Hi everyone, I am Beth Castro and I am the third reporter of this video. So this will be my topics: natural wonders and scenic spots, the origin of the Philippines, the Filipino race, and migration. There are lots of natural wonders and scenic spots that can be found in our country. It can be in the form of land and in the form of water. The Philippines is a treasure trove for nature lovers. First on the list is the Ifugao Rice Terraces that can be found in Banawe, northern Luzon. It is considered as the eighth wonder of the world. It was built more than 2,000 years ago. It measured from end to end to 14,000 miles and 10,000 miles longer than the Great Wall of China. But unlike the Great Wall or pyramids of Egypt, the Ifugao Rice Terraces were not built on the toils and blood of slaves, but were built by our ancestors, the Ifugaos, by labor of love. Our country, Philippines, is located at the Pacific Ring of Fire. That's why most of the volcanoes are existing in this area. The Mayon volcano in Albay province is famous for its almost perfect cone volcano. The Taal volcano in Batangas. The Taal volcano at center of Lake Taal is regarded as the smallest volcano in the world. Other natural wonders include the 1,000 Chocolate Hills of Bohol, the Cathedral Caves of Calao in Cagayan Province, the 100 Islands of Pangasinan, the underground river in Palawan, Maria Cristina Falls in Mindanao, the Pagsanhan Falls in Laguna, the majestic Mount Banahaw in Quezon Province, and etc. My second topic. There are three scientific theories about the origin of the Philippines. First is the land bridge theory. Second is the part of a lost continent. And lastly, the volcanic in origin. The land bridge theory was considered by some earlier scientists and scholars as the plausible theory. Ibig sabihin, isa ito sa mga kapani-paniwalang teorya. This theory states that the Philippine archipelago was once a part of mainland Asia. The Philippines was a landmass bridging the Asian continent to Indonesia, New Guinea, up to the Australian continent. About 250,000 years ago, during the post-glacial period, the world's ice melted, causing the rise of the sea level, submerging lower regions, which included the land bridges linking mainland China and the Philippines. What were not submerged became the archipelagos of the Philippines and Indonesia. Isinasabi na ang kapulaan ng Pilipinas ay dating tinatawag na continental shelf o yung mga tipak ng lupa sa ilalim ng katubigan na nakadugtong sa mainland Asia. Dahil na sa pagkakatunaw ng mga yelo sa ibang bahagi ng daigdig, 250,000 years ago ay lumubog ang mga mababang bahagi ng daigdig, kabilang ang mga tulay na lupa, dahilan para mapahiwalay ang Pilipinas sa bahagi ng Asia. Ang bilang nag-submerge o lumubog ay ang kapuluan ng Indonesia at Pilipinas. The part of a lost continent. Some American period geographers and geologists theorized that the Philippines and Indonesia were remnants of a Pacific continent called Mu or Lemuria, which has sunk during the prehistoric period. This opinion was influenced by the legend of the lost continent of Atlantis that becomes a myth and no scientific basis. Dito naman sa teoryang ito, pinaniniwalaan ng ibang scientists na ang Pilipinas at Indonesia ay kabilang sa Pacific continent na tinatawag na Mu or Lemuria na lumubog noong prehistoric period. Na-impluwensyahan ito ng legend na the lost continent na tinatawag na Atlantis, na isang haka-haka lamang at walang basihan. The volcanic in origin. Post-was geologists, notably Dr. Brayley Wills and Dr. Fredjo Boss, however, maintained that the Philippines is volcanic in origin. Dr. Boss studied that the earth crust of China in the Philippines. He found out that China's earth crust does not extend to the Philippines. This finding, according to him, dispute the land bridge theory. He stated that Philippines was never part of mainland Asia, in that the Philippines archipelago grows from the bottom of the ocean, a result of the eruption of a sea volcanoes. Sa teorya namang ito ay disagree ang ibang scientists sa the land bridge theory dahil mas pinaniniwalaan nila na nagmula ang kapuluan ng Pilipinas dahil sa pag-erupt ng mga sea volcanoes. My third topic is the Filipino race. Saan nga ba nagmula ang lahing Pilipino? Let's find out. According to H. Oliveira, Filipinos are predominantly Asian in race. Their racial mixture is as follows: Malay 40%, Indonesian 30%, Grito 10%, Chinese 10%, Indian 8%, American 3%, and Arab 2%. Until the end of the 19th century, the word Filipino was referred to the insulares, Spaniards who were born in the Philippines. It was Rizal and the other Filipino propagandists who started to use Filipino term to refer to the native. The major ethnic groups in the Philippines consist of the Tagalogs, Visayans, Ilocanos, Pampangueños, Bicolanos, Pangasinense, Ibanags, Itawis, and Sampals. Ang mga grupong ito ay napasakamay o nasakop ng ng mga Espanyol at Amerikano, kaya naimpluwensyahan sila sa kultura, tradisyon, at sa relihiyon na kung saan ay Kristyanismo. The non-Christian minorities of Mindanao of Sulu practices Islam. They were called Moros or Muslims. The cultural minorities group from Cordillera consists of the Igorots, Ifugao, Apayao, Bundoks, and Kalinga, the Mangyan of Mindoro, Bagubos, and Manubos of Mindanao, and Atis Negritos includes. Ito namang mga grupong ito ay napanatili nila ang kanilang kultura, tradisyon at ang kanilang mga paniniwala. Filipino myth and folklore states that the first Filipino male was malakas and maganda was his mate who both converged from the splitting of bamboo. My fourth topic is the migration. Dr. H. Orly Bayer's migration theory arranged the peopling of the Philippines with the coming of the Dawn Man, the prehistoric cousin of the Java Man and Peking Man of 250,000 years ago. During the Middle Pleistocene period or the Ice Age, roughly about 250,000 before Christ, man first appeared in the Philippines via land and bridges which connected mainland Asia and the Philippines. The Dawn Man might have reached the Philippines while hunting some wild animals. Thank you for listening.
Asian migration.
According to Fruit Bayer, three Asian people, the Negritos, the Indonesian, and the Malay, migrated to the Philippines long before the birth of Aries. The Negritos, the first inhabitant, came to our country about 22,000 BC from mainland Asia via the land bridge. His kinky dark hair and black skin famous had a primitive culture which belonged to the Paleolithic Old Stone Age. The Indonesians developed a system of subsistence economy that provided them barely enough for their needs. The fertility of the soil and abundance of natural resources give them that natural reason to access on a day-to-day basis. General trends: an estimated 23.6 million Southeast Asian migrants live outside their countries of origin. With more than 6 million immigrants, the Philippines is the country with the highest number of immigrants in the sub-region as well as the ninth highest globally, sa 2020.
Ano ang mga uri ng migrasyon? Magbigay ng halimbawa nito. Migrasyon. Ang migrasyon ay tumutukoy sa proseso ng pag-alis o paglipat ng tao mula sa isang lugar o teritoryong politikal patungo sa ibang lugar upang manirahan ng pansamantala o permanente na.
The first Filipino.
The level of extent of dispersed human is characterized by constant struggle against nature. His humanization processes included adaptability to climate and habitat and the defense agents, the wild animal, and sometimes from other hostile tribes. Explanation: the Filipino language originated from the native who grew up to be a Korean national language of the Philippines. The Tagalog language, also known by the simple name Tagalog, is one of the main languages of the Philippines and is said to be de facto and fact, but not de jure and law basis. That is the national Filipino language from 1961 to 1987 Filipino. It is the native language of the provinces and Region 6 Calabarzon and Mimaropa, the volcano and the Greater Manila area. It is also spoken in the Northern Mariana Islands, where Philippine is the largest linguistic group as a major language in the Philippines. Its common and standard form is the main language of national television and radio, although almost the interaction of newspaper is in English.
Character traits of the Filipinos.
Some Filipino even went to the extent of calling the good time lady entertainers and ermitas red light district as hospitality girl, which of course is a misnomer. The same survey noted that 86% of Filipino have not noted at all about the extent of God, and that 78% of them believe that the courses of their life is decided by God.
Character traits of the Filipinos.
Some Filipino even went to the extent of calling the good time lady entertainers and ermitas red light district as hospitality girl, which of course is a misnomer. The same survey noted that 86% of Filipino have not noted at all about the extent of God, and that 78% of them believe that the courses of their life is decided by God.
Religiosity. Filipinos are deeply spiritual and religiously devoted. According to recent findings of Social Weather Station 1991, it showed that about 8 out of 10 Filipinos have strong beliefs about their religion, and these beliefs are stronger and more urbanized the area. Kilala ang mga Pilipino bilang religiously devoted. Kahit pa nasaang bahagi sila ng mundo, hindi sila nakakalimot magpasalamat at magpapuri sa Diyos. Females pray more frequently than males, and the older generation prays more frequently than the younger generation. Mas madalas na magdasal o manalig sa Diyos ang mga kababaihan at nakakatandang henerasyon kaysa sa mga kalalakihan at bagong usbong na henerasyon. Millions of Filipinos are also members of the Iglesia ni Cristo or INC, a hometown religion which is independent of the Vatican. Loyalty and gratitude. Filipinos are loyal and grateful to friends who are good and ever reliable in both good times and in adversities. The phrase, mabuting kaibigan, masamang kaaway, seems to be typical Filipino in terms with the relationship with others. The phrase, mabuting kaibigan, masamang kaaway, typical Filipino in terms with the relationship with others kasi minsan, naniniwala tayong mga Pilipino na kung sino pa yung malapit sa atin or kaibigan natin, sila pa yung mga taong sisira sa atin. Filipinos are ever grateful to their benefactors, and their utang na loob or debt of gratitude would be subsequently expressed in ways like making the benefactors of godfather or godmother to weddings or baptism of children. Likas na sa mga Pilipino ang tumanaw ng utang na loob mula sa mga taong tumulong sa kanila sa problema o sa kahirapan. Almost 20 years have already passed since the Marcos era, but his loyalists continue to support the Marcos family in elections. Since Marcos minions regularly stage demonstrations or lobby actions in support of any Marcos-oriented cause. Sa 20 years na lumipas since Marcos era, magpahanggang ngayon, marami pa rin nananatiling tapat sa mga Marcos kahit na maraming sumisira sa kanilang pamilya, yun ay ang kanilang mga loyalist. Adaptability and resiliency. Filipinos can integrate in any culture and can cope in any climate. International shipping companies prefer Filipino seamen for these qualities. Filipinos experience abuses, brutalities, calamities, and depredation, but they endure these sufferings. Doon pumapasok yung resiliency o yung katatagan nating mga Pilipino. Maraming pinagdaanan ng mga Pilipino pero nanatili silang matatag sa lahat ng laban ng kanilang pinagdaanan.
Regionalistic. As an extension of clannishness, the Filipinos tend to be regionalistic. The regionalistic feeling is clearly manifested in the Bastarian groups, Samahang Ilocano, Mikeni, Bicol, Ibanag, Mindoreño, Bastarians, etc. In college and university, in our prisons, we also have the gangs like Okso in Visayas. The Gi, Jinwen Ilocano, the Sige-Sige, and the Bahala Na are the Tagalogs banding themselves because of the regional oneness. The so-called Solid North always voted for Ilocanos president and senator in the national elections. Among the Filipinos, the Ilocanos are most regionalist. Thus, this strong regionalistic sentiment among the Filipinos more often resulted to one regional group pitting itself against another. An ethnic group which is perceived and as inferior is usually the object of laughter and derision in barbershop jokes. Respect for elders. A character trait that has remained the customary law among Filipinos is respect for elders. Generally speaking, Filipino parents do not condone children talking back to them. Respect for elders includes respect for the authority of elders, brothers, and sisters. It is therefore the obligation of the kuya and ate perform for the duties of parents to the younger members of the family. The words po, ho, opo, oho in our language definitely show respect for elders. Kissing the hand of elder is another way of showing respect. The manu po act is done traditionally by the children when they visit older relatives and friends of the family. The 1987 Philippine Constitution is probably the only organic law in the world that specifically provides that the care of aged and elderly citizens should be the duty of the family. Sample photo of respecting elders. This is the example photo of respecting elders.